My last thing of the week, David, happened today. Speaking of Victorville.
So you went to California this morning?
Yes.
This morning.
This morning at, oh God, I woke up at 4 in the morning.
That is, I going on like a road trip or anything and you wake up and it's still like dark outside is the worst feeling in the world. Because you're like, let's wake up so we can sit in a car and drive for hours and be exhausted. Like,
so let me go over why I went. So if you, everyone, or not everyone, but if you're familiar with the show Top Gear.
I am casually familiar.
A year ago, Jeremy Clarkson was asked to leave.
I thought he said something like racist or ridiculous.
No, the story is he punched a producer.
Well,
something about steak or I don't know.
Steak, like the food?
Yeah,
they got to fight over a steak.
Something like that.
Anyway, so he punches the producer.
So he was asked to leave. It was the last year of the contracts for all three of the guys.
It's three guys who host the show.
Jeremy Clarkson.
What is the show about?
Richard Hammond, and James May. The show's about cars, David.
Okay, not just about cars. It's a well, it is, but I mean, it's not like. People who aren't car aficionados can enjoy the show. That's what you're.
Yeah, my wife likes it because they all have banter between each other. They have great chemistry. They do have challenges where it's like, let's go out into the outback with these really 3 old SUVs, and they all have 3 different ones, and figure if we can get from here to Chile, or like this kind of ridiculous, wacky
challenges
stuff.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
And they do have the gorgeous cinematography of the new supercar and race it around the track and all this cool stuff.
I was telling my wife because for the casual. Watching that I've done with it, the analogy, and some people might not get this analogy, it's like Good Eats of cooking. Like it's a Good Eats is a cooking show, but it's not just about cooking, it's also about like it's
like Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Right. That's a good example. Like it has it's comedy pushed into a informational show that people and it's not it doesn't talk to the audience in a way that is talking down to them, but it also can be very technical and specific about things, but do it in a way, visual aids that do a good job.
Like in one segment, they'll talk about the new supercar and go over at least tech specs and race it against other cars. And the next segment will be, this is one of my wife's favorite episodes, where like they designed the perfect car for senior people.
Right.
And just like ridiculous stuff like that. And it's perfect for all audiences. I love cars, so I like all of it. My wife likes all the funny stuff and like their banter.
It was super popular. I mean, this is and it's not just in the States, like it's everywhere.
Yeah, and the main Top Gear is all UK based from BBC, and then they came out with Top Gear USA. They have Top Gear all over the place. Top Gear USA got canceled this year, but it wasn't that good anyways. But they have like Top Gear different shows, but the main one is the UK. So anyway, Clarkson got canned, and it was the last year of the contracts for the other 2 guys. They said, we're going to go with Jeremy. We're going to leave as well.
So everybody
find
left.
Your own shows. Everyone left. And it was just kind of a state of limbo of like, what are they going to do next? A lot of rumors were like, is Netflix going to do a car show? Turns out Amazon
paid a lot
doing
of money.
a lot. I mean, I'm assuming they just handed them a blank check because like the cinematography behind that kind of stuff, and they didn't just get the 3 guys. They got the main producer of the Top Gear show. So like everything that's part of what made Top Gear great is now going to be on Amazon. And that show is called The Grand Tour. By the way, premieres November 18th on Amazon Prime. They made that very clear. They're like, who's got a Prime subscription? So anyway, the basis of the show is pretty much like Top Gear, except instead of being a centralized audience location in the UK somewhere, and then they go places around the world to test these cars, they're taking their audience locations all around the world, hence the Grand Tour. A few months ago, they were doing a taping here in Southern California in preparation of the show, and I applied for tickets. And
what did you have to fill out a form?
Yeah, it was like an
actual form. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?
Oh no, it was just like name, email address, something like that.
When you said applied, like usually when you apply for something, you answer some questions.
Oh, no, it's not a job application.
Well, I'm just checking.
But so anyway, I applied for tickets to
How
get
many
to
episodes have you seen?
Right to the audience. I was turned down for that. Obviously, they have a limited space. But out of the let me get my notes here. Out of the 2.1 million entries, 1.2 million people who entered in just for the Southern California one.
Yeah, 2,000
people were selected. Actually, technically, it's like 200 plus up to 3 guests for each person. So whatever.
Got it. Yeah,
so yeah, the 2,000 people, a little over like 2,200 people came to this event today to film the opening sequence of the first episode, and that's what I got to be a part of.
That's super cool, man.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it involved us going to Victorville. We went to a high school, and then they bussed us to a secret location about 15 minutes away.
I have to. Because you told me you didn't have your cell phone all day, which is
we couldn't bring our cell phones. Obviously, it turned out to be it was just like a dry lake bed where they were like they had a bunch of cars there, David. They had cars from Fast and Furious. They had a bunch of supercars that I will never see again in my lifetime.
Yeah.
They had like millions of dollars of cars were there.
That's awesome.
Which is super cool. But and then they had a big tent set up. They had food trucks. They were giving out food vouchers, and then obviously water.
Clearly.
Yes, and it was all set up. You know, it was all organized right, except for the food trucks, they only had like 4 or 5, and there was 2,000 people. And anyway, so a lot of these shots, all of these shots centralized around a music stage where they had one of Jeremy Clarkson's favorite artists, which I already forgot the name. And then,
how dare you?
And we were in the crowd, and then they would film yeah, woo, and then like they would drive in the Mustangs behind us as we separate, and they got out of the car. And like I'm a huge fan of Top Gear, huge, David,
tremendous,
huge fan of this show. And have you ever been starstruck before?
A couple times. Well, this is a little story. My mom, when I lived in Houston as a kid, used to work for a company that would sell like tickets to, sporting events, concerts, and stuff like that. So I met a few people, the famous people that way. And my dad, of course, I've told you, worked at a record store, so he would have like in stores. So I met a couple times. I was younger, right? So I was pretty young, but I was like sort of starting to get into like girls. Like I thought girls were like, you're a little
Set
boy,
of boys.
Right? Shut up. You know what I mean? I met Sheryl Crow, and I was like, she was gorgeous. So I was just like, But the only other time that I ever got like starstruck was when I met like a famous athlete. So like I met Hakeem Olajuwon, which is my favorite basketball player of all time. I met Mario Elie. I met all of like the Houston Rockets because of my mom selling tickets. We got tickets to like floor seats and stuff like that. So that's the only time that I've ever gotten like
entitled guys. Jeez.
Well, it was because they couldn't sell them. It's probably not a good thing. You want to sell, not keep them, and you have to use them. But that's probably the only time. But yeah, it is this weird thing because you want to be cool. But it's like, it's not going to happen.
So, like, I've never been starstruck before. I've never seen, like, any kind of celebrity, at least that I can recall. The last time I can maybe think of getting starstruck is seeing, like, the local weatherman in Clovis when I was, like, super young. And, like, his daughter was a student. He came to career day. I was like, oh, my God, that's the weather guy. Like, oh, my God. That was, like, the only time I could really think of.
You grew up in a small town, man.
Kind of. Anyways, so, like, they get out of the cars, and it's like, oh, my God, like, you're seeing them in the flesh. This is amazing.
I could just see you make that audible, like, girl scream.
And we're in front of the music stage, and we're not under a tent. We're under all the stuff that we're filming. We're under the sun,
right?
So I got some color.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're.
I've been wearing this hat all day. Super exhausted. My cankles are killing me, David. But so they got out of the car, and I was starstruck, David. I was just like,
so tell me,
Jeremy Clarkson is my favorite out of the 3. He's like brash and to the point.
Yeah, he's the kind of the main guy, right? Like he's the one.
Yeah,
that
you can call him the main guy. Yeah,
he does a lot of the voiceover. Like when I
they all have their parts, like they all do voiceover stuff, but I would say if you were to pick one of the 3, he would be the main. I think most people would agree.
Yeah.
But there was also a point where they were just playing music for us, the band, like just getting us warmed up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Clarkson just kind of shows up because it's one of his favorite bands, right? And he's just showing up smoking a cigarette. And the audience,
he's just him, man. That's
the audience, and everyone's just like looking to the left, like
what?
And I'm just like, oh my God, it's Jeremy Clarkson.
And he's smoking a cigarette.
And he's just like walking through, and people are saying hi. And like he walks in front of me. And I'm just like, hi, Jeremy. And he's like, oh, hello. And I shook his hand, David. This hand, my right hand, I shook his hand.
Good job,
never
man.
Watch it again.
Never.
Just kidding. I already watched it. But like, I shook his hand. I was just, hi, Jeremy. And that was like, oh my God, the most amazing moment.
That's cool. So what cars did you see? I want to know because like obviously I'm not a car guy.
There are too many to count, honestly. Like some of the most impressive cars was the Pagani Carrera. That's the one that's like $1.6 million, all carbon fiber. I probably said that wrong. They had the new Ford GT there, which is super expensive. They had the McLaren P1, which is like a hypercar.
Doors that go like this?
Definitely doors that go like
Not
that.
Not like this.
Yeah.
They go like this.
These are like $1 million cars here, David. They had Lamborghinis. They had, it's too many to count, really.
Right.
Think of it. They had, like I said, they had cars from Fast and Furious, the last movie. Remember, like the bad guy's car? He was like a wedge of cheese and like flipped cars. That was there.
That's cool.
They had a lot of ridiculous stuff. They had like a ship on wheels. They had a flaming scorpion that could drive. And
that's awesome.
It's just their whole thing is just like all the different. They had the Indy car, they had Le Mans cars. Just
so
like
on
everything.
Top Gear, was it just like obviously not all these cars are can ride on are road safe or whatever I forget what the term is, like DOT approved, Department of Transportation approved for the states. Because I know some of those cars like you can't even drive them on
some of them.
On some of them, but. Is it their idea on the old show Top Gear? Was it just every car, every kind of driving vehicle that there is versus now it seems like you're talking about There's Indy cars and funny cars and
no, they
supercars.
No, they would do
motorcycles.
Primarily, it was cars people can buy.
Right.
But every now and then they would do like ridiculous stuff like
supercar episodes.
We're going to design our own emergency vehicle, so they would race fire trucks and ambulances and stuff around a track and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
That is cool. But I'm not done.
So with these cars, because obviously Amazon, again, blank check. I mean,
Amazon money, yeah.
That's got because they buy. You think they buy the car?
I don't think so. No, because like at the very end of the show, Jeremy Clarkson came on stage again. Amazing, and he was just like, thank you so much to the fans that are here. Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have this without you guys, and thank you to the people who brought. I mean, some people brought cars, especially a lot of like the weird stuff.
See, that's what I was thinking they did.
Yeah. But a lot of them had manufacturer plates, so I don't know if they worked with the dealerships to, hear. They had like Bentley, the new Bentley SUV, the new Jaguar SUV that I didn't even know came out yet.
See, this is the thing I didn't know. I mean,
BMW, every single freaking BMW.
See, I knew. I was talking about my wife, and she's like, I told her where you were today, and she's like, I didn't know Gerald was a car guy, and I was like, yeah, he's always been a car guy, but you hide it though, like you aren't like, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying like you don't talk openly about like cars to me all the time because I think
you don't like cars, David.
That's the point. Like no, but that's
you drive a Scion TC.
Hey, listen,
one of the girliest cars.
Whatever, it's an awesome car. But I'm a old car guy. Like I like old vehicles, like 70 and back versus not like 1920s. I'm not the Model T is what I'm at. Like no, but I mean like a 1960s, 50s to 70s. If I was gonna buy spend a bunch of money on a car, I'd want to get an old car.
Yeah, I would. I'm not a big classic
See,
car
that's
guy.
what you like more, the modernized.
Yeah, I like the more the tech, obviously, and that kind of stuff. But just seeing, obviously, all those cars that I'm never going to see again because they're ridiculous amounts of money. Cool. Seeing these people that I've idolized on this show that I'm never going to probably see again.
That's cool.
Shaking his hand. But like at the end of they were like filming 5 different scenes. At the end of it, we were all like in front of the stage, and they had I think it's the Breitling flying team. Think of like Blue Angels, but they're from, I think they're from UK. But like they did flybys. We're all supposed to cheer while they fly jets flying by. They had a helicopter with a camera like filming, like panning over. They had a drone flying over doing panning scenes.
That's cool.
But anyway, so like,
when's the episode come out?
I already said November 18th, David. Pay attention.
That's going to be the first one. Is the one
first episode? Yeah, because we're in the opening sequence.
So Sit Down Standard is in.
I'm gonna look for an Overwatch hat. I've been wearing the stupid hat all day. But anyway, so like the jets were flying over, right? And this is after Clarkson did that thing on stage where he was like, thank you so much to everyone. He walks off stage, and then jets fly over. They did 3 passes. On the second pass, he gets off stage, and people are like, he's off the stage. People are walking over there. And I'm like, oh, I thought they need this for a shot. We should all probably stay here, right? And I'm just like, you know what? F it. Like, I'm never going to have this opportunity. So I go over there. David, this is my prop. Okay. This is my wristband that I got. I got Jeremy Clarkson's signature on this. Like, how cool is that? I got his freaking signature. I'm going to frame this.
That's cool, man.
So, like, not only did I shake one of my idol's hands, but I got his autograph on this nice thing that, like, I'm never going to be able to experience
again. Does he seem
again.
like a nice guy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in fact, he probably punched the producer to get fired, but no, he's always been like brash and direct and to the point and really very, what's it called? Nationalistic. Like he loves that he's British.
Right.
He craps on American cars a lot and just kind of America in general.
That's
We're
fine.
all fat people who like fast food and burgers and stuff like that. And that's how our muscle cars are designed, stuff like that.
Yeah. USA.
But he's very to the point, and I'm that guy as well. So I like that in him. But it's just super cool, and even though we stood out in the sun for like, I don't know,
you were there
7
for a while.
hours,
yeah.
It was all day. It didn't end. We got, by the time we were there on site, on the actual location, it was probably around 11 o'clock, and then we ended around 5:30. And there was a tent, but when we're doing the filming stuff, it's all out in the sun. So we were out in the sun for a lot, like I said, and it's all standing, but like totally worth it. Like just shaking his hand just made the whole thing worth it.
So they filmed the intro of the show while you're doing this, but they were just like taking cars too and like driving around in circles, or what were they doing?
Well, they had a lot of the cars there, and that's more just for the display for the flyovers. I guess yesterday where they were doing a lot of the like driving and stuff.
Did they say what the episode's going to be about? Because again, you said they're going to different locations throughout the states and around the world,
right?
And they're just talking about cars that are that have some connection to the place.
Maybe. I mean, they have like different challenges and stuff. Yeah, they don't know. But this is the more like new show, new network or whatever. This is what the show's about, and we were part of it.
I was reading an article apparently that the three guys got like a list of things from their attorneys, Amazon's attorneys, that was like, you cannot say this.
Yeah, because it's like Top Gear stuff.
Yeah, and like it's this huge long list, and I heard that they were like, why can't we say this? Like, this is like a pretty standard statement, and they're like, because we would just prefer not to get sued, because Amazon's like, we're already paying enough money.
And it's the BBC too. I mean, come on.
Right, I know, but I mean, did they sue a lot? Are they like notorious?
No, I'm just saying this is this giant media conglomerate.
Are they continuing Top Gear, quote unquote, with new people?
Yeah, Top Gear had a season this past that did not do well. They had Chris Evans, which is a big radio host, as the main host.
Not Captain America.
Not Captain America, Chris Evans.
Okay.
Definitely not as good looking as that guy. But and he's already going to leave for season 2. They had Matt LeBlanc on it as one of the hosts as well. It was all right, but mainly the main Chris Evans guy was just terrible. I couldn't even finish watching. I didn't even watch the whole season.
It's going to be tough, yeah, when you have... I mean, I think of this because another good analogy to it is like Mythbusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, because they kind of have the same kind of quirky, fun, but they actually, it's intelligent, you're learning something through the show.
But about the end, they blow everything. So it's like something for everyone.
Right, and then I know on that show that they have obviously the 2 original guys. I know one of them's Adam. I can't remember the other guy's name, but they had 3 other people on the show that became popular in and of themselves.
Right.
And I think now they've kind of...
build team, yeah.
Right, and I think... I don't know if the show's still going. I think it eventually ran its course.
Yeah, Mythbusters isn't on anymore.
Yeah, but I think at a certain point, those 3, they were trying to transition because ultimately, like, those contracts...
No, it was the 2 guys, then they brought on the 3, so it was 5 people, and then for it didn't... The viewership was dropping, so that we're going to... This back to just Jamie and Adam.
That's
so just back to them for the last couple seasons, and they canceled it. But Netflix is picking up the build team, and they're going to have their own show.
Huh, interesting.
Actually.
See, that's my thing. I think eventually you have to... It's hard. You got to find somebody who could fill the shoes of these, and especially because that's how long was Top Gear on? Like a long time, right?
Yeah, and I think this last one was its 20th season or something, but it's been on for a very long time, even like since the 70s. And then there was a big break, and then they brought it back for the new kind of modern format.
Yeah, then Amazon must have paid a fortune for this. Like,
I'm sure. I'm sure, like a blank check.
Do you think they'll make the money back? I mean, are they going to get the viewership like crazy? Because
I think once this show premieres, it'll be the most popular show on Amazon Prime, like over Transparent and all that stuff.
But I mean, come on, that's like
Transparent is a huge show.
Yeah, but I mean. You're like, this is the most popular podcast called Sit Down Standard. It's like, I mean, it's Amazon Prime. I mean,
but you know what I mean. Like Amazon Prime has some. They're not as big as Netflix.
I'm surprised Netflix didn't. I mean,
I'm sure Amazon, like Netflix gave them this dollar amount, and Amazon was like, I don't care, we'll beat it. Like Jeff Bezos is like, just your money.
Just take it. Well, that's the thing. Like he's sending rockets to up in the air. Like at that point, money's not really. If you have to ask, then you can't afford it, right? So
exactly. But like I said, standing in the sun, dealing with the food truck lines, all that stuff, my swollen ankles, totally worth it.
Totally worth it. That's good to hear, man. You had a good week.
Good week.
All right.
Anyway, David, what you doing this week?
I've got a couple things. Mine, I was out in the sun as well. I got some color, but mine was a few days ago, so mine's died down. Last week, or was it last week? I can't. They all blend together. I think last week I talked about glow golf.
That was last week. Yeah.
That was last week. This week I golfed again. I know I sound like such an attorney, but last week I didn't really golf. I went to a tournament and just kind of goofed off. This week I actually golfed.